Oh my god.
We're getting all professional in here.
This is so professional. Wasn't that so good? People
That
are
was
so sweet.
excellent.
Here, I have even more professional stuff I'm going to do. Got a ticker going. Like, we are moving up in the world. All right, here, typos here. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Golden Showers for, what is it, July 3rd? Did I put that correctly in the date? I hope so. Welcome, July 3rd, July 4th weekend. Me and Hex. We are also joined. Wait, I'm gonna put him on right when he's drinking. Okay, now here we go. We have the real Typo joining us today. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? What's going on?
How are ya? Thanks for doing some like podcast swapping with us.
Yeah, no problem. That's I honestly, that's how I actually saw Hex talk for the first time, was your guys' live stream here. And I was like, oh, he's a normal person.
Well, we don't need to go that far necessarily, but just kidding. How are you doing today, Typo? Do you go by Typo? Do you like Typo? Is that your name?
Yeah, that's what it's a nickname I got from the Marine Corps, and it's stuck. So that's what my friends call me. Actually, when we started the podcast, I wanted to go by my real name, which is Tyler. But my friends were like, we're not going to call you that. So I was like, okay, well, instead of making it confusing, I'm just going to go by Typo.
That's good. I like it. We like pseudonyms around here. It's all good. Yep. Hex is about. Did you want to say what the interesting things that happened to you this week were, Hex?
So I guess for a bit of good news, my job is no longer requiring me to get tested.
Oh, nice.
So that's good. And then there are some interesting things. One, I got called a monkey by something that was probably a bot or a Russian troll. That was fun. And there was something else I was thinking of, and I can't remember what it was. So if I remember, I'll bring it up.
All right. Hey, everyone in the chat. Hey, James. Hey, Alice. Do you have any plans for the holiday weekend, Typo?
Probably just hang out with my family tonight, shoot off some fireworks. That's what we pretty much do every year. We don't really go anywhere. We just kind of go out in the middle of nowhere and do it ourselves. So
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you guys notice the last 2 years after the whole COVID bullshit started that, like, especially I feel like 4th of July 2020 was especially nuts out here. Was it nuts by you guys? Like, everyone just was going like, there was more fireworks in my neighborhood that I'd ever seen in my life.
Honestly, I don't remember July 4th, 2020, at all.
I would say, yeah. So I was actually living in Phoenix, Arizona during the lockdowns. So it was actually pretty funny because the lockdown started in March or whatever, and then they went a little bit longer than everyone expected. And the 2 days that like no one gave a fuck was Cinco de Mayo. And there, like, I think there was more. I saw, maybe because the neighborhood I lived in, but I saw more fireworks on Cinco de Mayo than I did on 4th of July that year. But again, on 4th of July, everyone went crazy. Everyone was outside drinking and hanging out. And it was like kind of really cool because it was kind of like defying the orders at a certain point. And it was just like kind of cool to like almost have some sort of normacy in the middle of the pandemic.
Right. And it wasn't just random fireworks being dropped off in the middle of the city. Do you guys remember that during the first start of the BLM riots also, and there was a bunch of fireworks going off? Do you remember that? It happened here.
No, I don't. Actually, holy shit.
I don't remember that, but I mean, I didn't see any confirmation about this, but I do remember seeing like pictures online about how like weird piles of bricks were just appearing at these mostly peaceful protests, and it's just so weird. Like, and I don't know if there was ever an answer for that, but it was something that was really weird that I saw going on.
Yeah, that I do remember. There were just random ass pallets of bricks, and then from there, businesses got raided.
Yeah, I feel like I should look it up. There was I just remember in New York City, and it happened in Denver too. There were just like videos of just like crazy amounts of fireworks going off at like random intersections and stuff. Just not like fireworks that people have, but
I think I do remember that now. Now that you say it like that.
Yeah, it's like everything went crazy. And I remember in Denver, they were like, it was this random spot. There was just a ton of fireworks going off, and they're like, what the heck is that about? It was just weird. everything's weird. We all survived though. We're here. We're all here.
Yeah, we did survive. It was like even like me and my friends and like my family were never really concerned about like the virus, but when you're living in the city, like the scariest part was like all of a sudden like violence was breaking out in the streets, and that was what I mean, luckily, so maybe because it was like during the summer, and Arizona gets really freaking hot in the summer. So we only had one night of riots, and I'm assuming it's because like they weren't going to continue through the day because no one wants to be outside. So luckily we only had one night, but it was still like pretty crazy because it was like 4 blocks down the road. But yeah, and I moved out of the city now, and actually I'm very happy that I moved out of the city and don't have to experience any of the COVID stuff anymore. So like all around, like this is so much better. And I don't know if you guys been back to the city, but I've been a few times, and it doesn't seem as bad as it was before during like 2020 and a little bit of 2021. So I'm very glad that it's kind of going away, at least mostly.
Yeah, until they hit us again with something like this.
The monkeypox.
Yeah, this flu season. Especially my stupid ass governor. I'm sure he'll be like, we need to mask again, even though he literally just said, okay, so I have my governor out here in Colorado is Governor Polis, and he's awful. He's the most terrible thing ever. But like literally the other day after all the abortion stuff came out, he goes, politicians and elected officials should never be, involved in people's medical decisions and all that shit. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
What were you doing the last 2 years? And then like at the
Hey,
very
remember
end
COVID, jackass?
Yeah, but at the end of COVID stuff too out here, he was starting to say like, because he's trying to get the libertarian vote, because Colorado is kind of interesting. Like it is very blue in the city, is very red everywhere else. And like you could tell he was like, no, we're not going to make decisions about that anymore. And I'm like, you literally did for 2 years. You were doing this shit. Like it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I right when that's what a lot of people were like, especially against the vaccine stuff, attached to is like the my body my choice, remember guys? And I knew when like I didn't realize Roe versus Wade was going to be overturned, but I knew when the abortion topic came up again, like, and you don't even really see it as much. Like you don't see anybody say that anymore. I mean, you'll see like maybe people protesting with the signs and stuff, but no one's tweeting my body, my choice anymore. Like that's dead and over with now.
And if you bring it up about the vaccine stuff, they go, well, that's because it affects other people. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I don't give anybody forgiveness for the bullshit they believed over the last 2 years, but like I will give them 2 seconds of like, okay, you thought this vaccine was going to protect people, but we know right now it does not. We're at the point where we know it doesn't. So the fact that they still will say that stuff, it's like it really is the NPC shit, man. It's like you cannot get. I remember when the like people like us started bringing up the my body, my choice during the vaccine stuff starting, and they're like, no, like they just drive me nuts.
It's so annoying. It's one of those things where like it always annoys you. I don't know if it's because we're libertarians, we always want to be logically consistent with everything. It probably has a lot to do with it, but at the same time, like it's so annoying when all these like contradictions happen, and they do it every time, and it's because they just don't care. Like they don't care about the consistency. They just whatever at the time, whatever the topic is, they'll just say whatever they have to achieve their goals, and they don't care if they're consistent or not. And it's one of the most frustrating things when you're like, that doesn't even make sense, but in reality is they just don't care.
Yeah, and it's really annoying to me because I've always been like a logic oriented person, even outside of the whole libertarian thing. So I see all this inconsistencies, and I'm just like, I swear to God, it makes my mind hurt.
It's right in our face, and the powers that be are like laughing about it because they know they can control. I mean, look what they did during COVID, but they can like literally, I don't know what they pay people or whatever they do to put out the propaganda to get people to start saying something, even if it's so like inconsistent, and they just say it with such conviction, and it's like they're laughing at people like us, like, like we can get these fuckers to believe anything. So drives me nuts.
Yeah, luckily like. So I live in like it's kind of good and bad, but I live in a very small county in Southern Illinois. And so like we, so it's weird. The county here like really didn't go along with like the COVID stuff, even though we're in Illinois. like it just no one was enforcing it down here, so no one really did it. Like no one really wore masks or anything like that. But we have like I don't know if you guys know who Governor Pritzker is, but he
fat
like
fuck. He's a fat
yeah.
fuck.
So yeah, we had like the most unhealthiest, fattest governor trying to tell us, like, force his medical tyranny on us. And it's like, dude, you're a walking underlying condition. Like, how can you tell us what to do? Like, I don't understand how like you're gonna act like you're the beacon of health, and it's like, dude, you don't miss a meal, and that's for damn sure.
No, he's big. He's like Far Side shape. Remember the Far Side comics where they just like had the biggest he's shaped like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's so yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, so down, I would say down in Southern Illinois, like once you get like a couple hours south of Chicago, like it just turns into like MAGA country, basically. Like everyone down here. So when I first came back, I saw more like signs in people's front yards that said Pritzker sucks than I even saw like Trump signs or Trump flags. Like they just hate this dude. And I kind of love that mentality.
Well, that was so frustrating about all this, especially when it first started popping off. It was like, wait a minute. None of y'all were involved with my health before, ever. You weren't telling me when I was working out as much as I worked out, like you weren't part of that. And now you're going to tell me about my health. You're going to tell me how to be healthy. It was just like, and then you have like people like him. It was just so frustrating. Like but we like, I can't believe we went through the last 2 years. I'm still like PTSD or some shit from it. I don't even know.
It's almost like the Twilight Zone. Like it's kind of like when you were in the moment, you kind of really didn't believe it was happening. I don't know. Like I never could wrap my head. Like, are we really doing this right now? Are we really just gonna stay inside and wear masks? Like, what is this? And then now looking back on it, I mean, at the time it was like we would make fun of like everything in the situation, but now looking back, I just feel like it's even worse. Like it's like how did our society just succumb to that so quickly?
And we're supposed to just kind of like forget about it and move on. And I'm like, like, no, I'm a woman. I do not do that kind of thing. Anyways. No, but it was wild, like how they had friends that I thought were like fairly normal people that were just snapped into this like state of just stupidity. And they did it to a lot of people. I wonder if Randy's in the chat. Our friend Randy, who comes on sometimes, he lives between St. Louis and Chicago. I wonder if he's not too far from you. Yeah,
I'm a little south of not Chicago, south of St. Louis. So I'm pretty close to like the Kentucky border. So we have a lot more.
So you're your own grandpa? No, just kidding.
Yeah, honestly, I got that a lot. Like when I joined the Marine Corps, I would get that a lot. Like people just were astonished when I would tell them like my graduating class in high school was 70 people. Like I was in their class from first grade all the way up to high school. So like I know everyone. I grew up with them basically. And people would like lose their minds and think I live in like, well, I do kind of live in the woods, but they would think that we're just savages out here hunting and gather.
Are you living back kind of where you grew up? For the most part?
Yeah. I moved back home last July.
Nice. A lot of us just want to go home. That's the forest property is my home. So I'm like constantly, we all want to go home to some extent. And especially over the last 2 years, I feel like more liberty-minded people are just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I just want to go where it's safe.
Well, it was weird because I kind of really liked Phoenix. I thought it was actually a really good city. But then like after how quickly like I lost my job and like all this COVID crap took over and I didn't like how that happened. So then I moved back home to like a smaller community because my parents were like, yeah, we're not doing any of that here, even though we're in Illinois. And so I was like, yeah, I'd rather be in a place that kind of just pretends that's what city people do. And we're not doing that.
Such a stark divide. Oh, you have a friend A-Dubs in the chat. He must be excellent.
Oh.
So how long have you been out from you said Marines you were
I got out in 2017.
Okay. So you didn't have to take the vaccine to stay in for all that?
Oh, yeah, no, that didn't come until I was like 3 years out of the Marine Corps. Luckily, I mean, I had a few friends that were in, and my sister is actually in the military when this went down. And, I thought I had it bad in Phoenix, but they on the military bases, it was so much worse, like ridiculously worse. They were forcibly quarantining people left and right who weren't even infected. It was constant. I mean, they had the mask mandate longer than like California did. It was insane. And then last falls when they were mandating the vaccine. And I mean, there's a decent amount of people that actually got kicked out of the Marine or military in general just for refusing the vaccine.
And the National Guard now too, right? Didn't they just kick out a bunch more people too?
Yeah, it's really it's kind of funny because like the military just they kicked out a bunch of people and they probably like massively almost put like I don't even know how to explain it. Basically, they turned a lot of people off from joining the military as well. Like a lot of people, if you didn't know that they're only reached like 40% of their recruiting standard this year. Like there's just, I mean, I don't know. Like I think the COVID stuff was so bad that there's a lot of people that aren't even going to try to join the military now because they don't want to go through something like that. And if you want to join, you have to be vaccinated. And if that's a big deal to some people, like they're not gonna want to join now.
When I feel bad how people are talking about it too, they're like, well, everyone in the military already has to do like so many vaccines and whatnot. And like, and I'm like, and yeah, and a lot of them had bad reactions to the anthrax vaccine, you know,
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
And I'm like, why? It just made me like, it's just the same thing about like people who want free healthcare. And so it's just like, they want to make slaves of people. They're like, well, they already did all these other vaccines. So let's just keep pushing it. It's like, no, there's a problem. There's
wrongs
something.
don't make it right.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Like a lot of like lefty or maybe socialist type people, well, like they, the advocate, like especially when I was in Phoenix and I was going to college, like more left wing type people, especially at the universities, and they would kind of want this idea of like social, like government control or whatever. And I would tell them all the time, is like, dude, I lived it. Like I was under the peril of the government at all. Like I didn't even own my own body, dude. If I hurt myself, I can get in trouble for destruction of government property. Like that's how much they own me. And I was like, I've had the healthcare and it's terrible, dude. It's so bad. And then like look at the VA system. I always point that out to people. I was like, yeah, you want this free healthcare? It's like there's a lot of there could be a higher chance that depending on what VA you go to, you are more likely to like get hurt than them to help you. Like it's really bad. So I just think it's always so funny when if you just listen to any vet. I mean, I've never heard a vet like say something positive about the VA or the government healthcare system. Like just because it's free would be the only thing that they would say that's good about it.
Yeah, but if you just get the right people in charge of it and then do everything, then it'll be fine then. It'll be totally fine then.
Yeah.
I have a friend in the Air Force who she's still fighting. She did tried to get a religious exemption and all this. And then she was telling me, she was just here, her father passed away. So she was in town. And like, she was telling me that they have a time period to get back to your requests and stuff. And she says they've blown all the time. Like they have screwed up all the different things. So she's like, I'm still in for now. We'll see she was trying to just stay in because I think she's almost at her, whatever the one thing where she'll at least get some retirement, whatever, how many years it is. But
yeah, like, 20, I think.
Well, she's not going to do the 20, but it's like 4 or 6, maybe. You can still get like a percentage of it, maybe, if you don't get dishonorably discharged or whatever. Which
there might be something like that. I'm not sure. I didn't really stick around.
How long were you in the Marines?
5 years.
Okay, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, I joined when I was 18, so right when I graduated. I mean, I enlisted before I even graduated high school, and I left shortly after, and I was in till from 18 to 23.
Okay. Was that did you just grow up always wanting to do that anyways, or?
Yeah. So I don't know. Have you ever seen Forrest Gump? You know how Captain Dan, he has like some male like father and his great grandfather like all died in a significant war. That's pretty much my family, but we all made it back. We didn't die or anything. But yeah, my like I'm like I don't even know, like 7th or 8th Marine in my family. Like we it's pretty common in my family for the male to join the military.
And Marines are who everyone makes fun of, right? Like that they're dumb or something.
Yes. Yeah, we get that a lot. And it's
The,
not
the
Crayon
eating
eaters.
crayons. Is that the
Yeah.
eating crayons thing? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too because the army actually has the lowest ASVET, like the lowest standard for you. Like you have to get like a 30 or something on their ASVET, so they actually let dumber people in. But the Marine Corps always get called the dumb ones. But that's understandable though. We are pretty dumb.
No, not anymore. You're out now. You're not dumb anymore.
Well,
How
I don't know.
how long have
Reading
you
is
been?
still kind of hard.
Well, don't you're telling me, like, hello. The last 2 years has been very difficult, but I was like, I have to understand what is, I had to like force myself. I did accounting before I became real estate agent, and like I know numbers and stuff. Like I was pretty good with numbers, and I was like, how like they were releasing charts and graphs that I was like, what is this? This is like, what is this? And like I had to like sit down and teach myself how to read all these different kinds of graphs and like how, not that we could have trusted the numbers anyways, but even early on, most of the people who were looking were like, yeah, this, especially with the math stuff, right? They're like, no, this doesn't work. Like it does not work, And then just having to read so much over the last year, like thank God I got on Twitter and there's like smart people on Twitter to help too, because I don't know where I mean, I would be pissed off, but now I'm smart and pissed off about it. So that's
yeah, like I'll be honest, I don't really read that much. I just always take the opinion of smarter people that I follow, and I just feel like they're being honest. So then I'm like, okay, these guys seem like they know what they're talking about, and I like what they're saying. So
yeah, the people you trust, you kind of like, and then you can kind of like listen to all of them and like put something together. That's how I feel works. Yeah, because reading is really hard. I got Take Human Action, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm reading this.
I think I looked at it once and I was like, no, like I'm not even gonna attempt the audiobook, none of it. I'm just like, ugh. Like that's just too much for me.
I got through the intro. That's where I'm at now. So how long have you been doing the Biting the Bullet pod?
Me, Luke, and then we used to have a third co-host named Jared. So we started in May of 2019. Is when Wait, was it? Yeah, it was May 2019. That's right.
And did you guys meet on? Was it like Twitter? Did you guys meet on Twitter and stuff, or did you know each other from real life?
Yeah, so actually, all three of us were in the Marine Corps together, and we all got out and moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. What would happen is like we would I think we were just like kind of becoming like libertarians. Like I don't know, we didn't really know what we were coming out of the Marine Corps, because we were like, well, like we kind of like conservative ideas, but we fucking hate the military. So like, where does that put us? And but anyways, we would just like kind of ramble out in the backyard and about like just like talking like we would back in the Marine Corps military, like in the smoke pit, how we always do. And we're like, well, if we're going to continue to just like get drunk and talk about like random political topics, daily topics, whatever, I was like, why don't we just put a microphone in front of us and see what happens? And we did that in May 2019, and we've been putting out a weekly episode ever since.
Very cool. Very cool. And then were you always kind of on Liberty Twitter like at that point, or was that later on?
That would be later on. So we did it the worst way possible. Like we didn't know anybody, didn't even know there was other libertarian podcasts. Like we didn't know anything. And we knew I don't know if you TLE, like that was the Timeline Earth guys.
Fadcast at that point. Right?
Yeah. And that's who we kind of knew a little bit of. And no one knew who we were. We had no brand at all. Like I had a Twitter account at the time, but I made it back in like 2012. And then I never used it after 2012. But my friends were like, you need to be on Twitter, like post stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess. And I had like 100 followers. And, but no, we started from scratch basically. And we didn't really know that many people on Twitter or like other podcasters or anything like that. TLE let Jared come on the show. He explained what our show was, and they kind of boosted us a little bit and gave us a good base to start with, and we took it from there.
They're good guys. I suppose like Car or Bird are going to come on to at some point here.
Yeah, they're great. I met them both. I went to Childeberg 2 years in a row now, and I met both of them there. It's really great.
Oh, you went this last year, just like a month ago or whatever it was.
Yep.
Very
Me
cool.
and my dad actually went down there.
Oh, and so like, did you camp there, or how did you do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we camped. Yeah, we pitched our tents and we just stayed on the campgrounds with most people.
Did you drive out there or fly out there and do that?
Me and my dad drove, so it was
Okay.
like a 14-hour drive.
That's what it would be for me too, but I've been wanting to go, but I'm like, I'm so particular about how I camp. I like to camp with my truck, and I have a nice tent that goes like in the bed of my truck, or the truck I was driving. Like, I'm like, I will go do it if I could drive down there. Otherwise, I'll stay at a hotel or something nearby. One of these years,
Yeah,
I'll go.
they did have Airbnbs available too if people wanted to do that. I don't know the prices on those though.
All right, cool. That's cool. You guys started out started your podcast like innocently, or not, like it wasn't
Yeah.
the whole thing.
In a lot of ways, yeah, because we started it because we were like, there's like this is so dumb because like I think we even say it in like our first couple episodes, we're like basically the only libertarian veteran podcast, and shortly after we reached like episode 10 or 12, there was like 10 other veteran podcasts that were like, hey, you should come on our show. I'm like, oh my god, we're not the only ones.
Fuck.
We could still claim you guys were first, though. I'll pretend.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, we pretended for a while, but
Isn't it fun though? Like which I have to look back, Hex. When did we start official? Oh, his camera goes off.
Give me 1 second.
All right. Well, I was just about to ask you a question. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
I don't know when we started doing this stream. I was just thinking the other day, we got to make sure we celebrate. But I know we'd started some like before even, because we did a couple streams before it became the Golden Shower Sunday stream.
Hold on. So the first stream we did was August of last year because I had just gotten banned and you had asked me about that.
Okay. And then you came on.
Say what?
We did that one, and then you and me and Dino did another one.
Yep.
And then we
did that. Then
kind of
fell off for a minute. Then we started doing it again. I don't remember when we started though. We'll have to go through the backlog.
Yeah, I'll look it up. And I think some stuff might have got pulled because you dropped the hard R a couple times. So couldn't find out.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some I'm assuming this goes on YouTube.
Yeah, but I'm not monetized, so I said whatever.
Okay.
Say whatever.
Yeah, we've been pulled down a few times on YouTube, and we figured it out. Like anytime we talk about the COVID stuff, like we just get yanked, and it's happened twice. So I think we're on like our last warning before. We don't really have a lot of viewership from YouTube, so we don't really care that much about it. But it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's just like really like all the crap that gets talked. I mean, you could find a video about any crazy shit on YouTube, but then they're like, nope, can't talk about that.
Yeah, and I don't even think we were like necessarily. I mean, we might have said a joke or something about it, but I don't think I ever said anything like that bad. I don't know. I don't even remember what got us banned exactly, but it's always just COVID misinformation.
Yeah, I lost a bunch of because I'm trying to get monetized at least a little bit because I have Sims who will totally throw me like super chats here.
There you go.
But like at one point I would be there by now, but at one point I lost like almost 1,500 hours of viewer, and I'm like I have no idea what happened. I think maybe I screwed something up. I don't know, but nothing's actually been like. That's why I was like maybe, but they didn't pull the episodes that I thought where we said stuff. And plus Hex is black. He's allowed to say that. So I'm like, I don't get what was going on.
Well, so we were actually probably most famous was probably from our Instagram account that we had. And
that was so good.
Yeah, we had like almost 14K followers, maybe 15K, somewhere around there. And and we would just like we didn't so like all the other I don't know if you use Instagram that much and like Liberty Instagram, but like a lot of these accounts that are similar to ours would like post something and then like have this huge like comment with it and explaining or talking their opinions or whatever like that. And we solely didn't do that. We were like, we're just posting memes and pictures and that's it. And that's how I think we survived a lot of bans, because like we'd watch people get banned left and right and we were fine. Like no one ever touched us. And then it was during the Kyle Rittenhouse trials that we were posting memes about that. And we just woke up the next day and it was gone. Like our account was just gone, no warning, didn't even get an email. We're just gone.
Are you still gone off of Instagram?
Well, we created another one. I think it's at like 3,000 followers. It's Biting the Bullet podcast if anyone wants to follow it. But unfortunately, it seems that we've been like shadow banned on it. And when we post stuff, we don't get a lot of engagement or people that will follow it that often. And I think people actually have to go to our page to see the content because it never appears in the feed, is what we've been told. So it kind of sucks. And well, we kind of use it still, but not really, just because of the shadow banning.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
trying
I
to look
remember
it up.
when I went to follow y'all's new Instagram account. They
Mhm.
actually gave me a warning saying, "Hey, are you sure you want to follow this account? They post a lot of misinformation." Like I legit
Yeah.
got a warning like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
We actually got like DMs from people that would be like, I'm the only reason, or like, I'm actually more excited to follow your account now that this popped up. I'm like, thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's starting to say that on Twitter too. People will send me. People get it a lot with my account, and I'm like, yeah. Hey, JVP in the chat. Yeah, it's weird how they do that. I'm trying to look for you on Instagram, but it's not pulling up.
Yeah, I mean, me and Luke have been posting to our personals more now. So like mine's axe throwing typo, and Luke's is keep it real Luke, just like his Twitter handle. But
Okay. Yeah, it was funny because I'd gotten off of Facebook right when everything was going down with COVID, but I was still on my Instagram, and then I was posting stuff on there, and like my old friends were attacking the fuck out of me for everything, every little thing I said, and like all these people who
Yeah.
are like, in alternative lifestyles and things, and they were all just succumbing to this. And then I was like, okay, screw it, and then my account on Twitter was bigger, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get Liberty People. So now my Instagram is like Liberty People, which is nice. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think that happened to me too, because I just turned my personal Instagram into like my political, I guess, podcast like one. Like I didn't, and so like all the people that used to follow me, like the people I grew up with and stuff, like most of them stopped following me. So it's fine, and then like a few of them still do, but not really. And then, well, I guess during like the 2016 elections, I used to use probably Facebook the most often. This was before I even had a podcast. I mean, this was still when I was in the Marine Corps, but I was kind of like, I was like Gary Johnson libertarian at the time, and I would just, but I eventually just quit posting on there because I would just get in fights online with like people I went to school with, like my aunt, and I'm like, why would I fight? I'm done fighting people I know. Like it makes no sense. But then during the lockdowns, I was bored all the time because I was unemployed, so I'd just be on Facebook like posting the most like at the time radical stuff. And I actually don't think I ever really got in trouble by Facebook for what I shared, but I would just piss people off again. And then shortly after that, I moved back home, and I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm the one that pissed you off on Facebook."
Yeah, I lost a lot of like friends. I've told this story before, but I remember there was one kid who like at one point he was like, well, you didn't go to college, so you don't know how to read data. And I was like, okay. I'm like, first of all, I was on my own at 17 and I was an accountant. I know how to read data. And then like this motherfucker had 2 baby mamas living at home, can't afford I'm like, who doesn't know how to like, and I remember then that was one of the first things that happened. I remember, and he just was going off, and I was just like, okay, the world has literally gone crazy. And then a couple of like more alternative friends, I was finding out they were like, I remember I posted a meme with like the Joseph Goebbels, and it's like, the media, if you control the media, you can control, like one of his quotes basically. And this guy's like, how's the media control everybody or something, or how's the media work for the government? And I was just like,
yeah,
really? You really don't? And then I figured he was just plain stupid. And then it came out he was a commie anyways. And I'm like, motherfucker, you're starting a business. How are you a commie? First of all, like, that's how dumb people have been. Like, they're just so. And then he's like, well, I learned about it in college. So it's fine. Like, oh my God. Everyone got so. It made me sad because I've always been, like, people like me. I'm just gonna say that because I'm very nice to people, and like I look for things I like in people, and like I just always try to get along. And if we don't like someone, you don't like someone. But like all these people I had like loved for years turned nuts, like nuts, and like, well, who'd you hear that from? Your YouTube friends, or blah blah. And I'm like, well, who told you to say that? Your Facebook friends, you know? Like it was just this whole like, it was wild. But now I have all my like Twitter libertarian friends. I'm like barely involved with LP and stuff, but I'm still here.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy how like I mean I didn't really see it too much in my family. Like most of my family is I guess more Republican or MAGA crowd, but there was a few in my family that I mean they were just making a big deal out of everything. Like we would show up at a family event. This was later on, but late at family event, they would still be masked, and the whole family's like not masked, and they're walking around, and they're like kind of keeping their distance, and they got like the vaccine right away. Like it was very like I don't know, just caused like kind of more tension in my family more than anything. But it wasn't like incredibly like we didn't stop talking to each other, but they would. I don't know. They were like, oh, you can't come here unless you're getting tested, and you can't come see the family unless you get tested, type thing. And it was like, we don't do that here.
Yeah, I've left. So like when I moved out really young, I kind of got a apostate. I was like an apostate, getting away from the religion. So my like family had disowned me and all that. But then once COVID hit, guess who was the hero? And the family loved me again.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, this is what I meant by when I need to be free, or you know, like then things started coming together. So luckily, my family was like, my mom and dad got COVID in October 2020. My dad is still throwing antibodies from it. Like it's whatever, you know, like it's not we didn't believe in that the government did release this disease, which they did, but like it's not like that. But like they were like, this is stupid. Like this is really. My brother-in-law is a liver transplant recipient. Luckily he got it in like 2019, like thank God he got a live donor and all that, and because he wouldn't have been allowed to now because he wasn't into the vaccine and stuff. So and like he never wore a mask, he never made any way, like he's the autoimmune people that were supposed to tiptoe around you know. And he's like, no, that's stupid. Like fuck all that. So I'm like, thank God for like good family on that sense. But yeah, I don't know. And I like hate that we have to talk about it still, but like we have to talk about it still, like because they're gonna try and just like they're like we saw, like they just like even when they did the BLM riots, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, are you? What the fuck is going on? Oh, your friend Luke's here. Hold on.
Oh, that's what's up, dude. You made it.
He made it.
What up?
Hey.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I don't know how time works, and East and Western time.
It's all good.
Dude, we were just talking about you.
I'm retarded, so
Bad
We're
thing.
all
Friends of company.
retarded. We're all retarded here. You guys follow my Twitter. Like that's pretty fucking retarded, so.
Well, that's the people that I like. I guess attract to is like just retards. Like that's my people. Like
those are my people.
Like that's who I get along with. Like not the people like explaining political theory online. Like I can't keep up. I don't even know. Like if someone's like explain libertarianism, I'm like I do it like the most dumbed down way possible.
It's where the retards are.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, like half the time with all the philosophy, like I always say, oh, in my heart, I had the right philosophy anyway, so I could read all the books in the world and it wouldn't matter, right? But yeah, they'll just argue that crap, and you're like, whatever. Like, and they're living in their parents' basement, no judgment, but like, you know, like half these people, like it's like, okay, whatever, dude. It's like that's fine. I don't know. How are you, Luke? Welcome to the. We were talking? We were talking COVID crap as usual. Because that's where we're at.
Because it permeates society in every level. It's annoying as shit.
And they want us to forget about it.
I know. We were watching my girlfriend and I were watching The Ultimate Fighter. I love like the fights and stuff like that, but we were watching The Ultimate Fighter, the TV show. And they had masks on everybody. And I was just like, God damn, dude. You're about to fight them in a cage right now. Why are you wearing, like, it doesn't make sense to wear a fucking mask. They're going to the gym where they're all training together. And while they're on the bus that takes them there, they're all wearing masks. And I'm like, bro, like, this is like Bernie Madoff level of Ponzi schemes. This whole COVID shit, like it's insane.
And they really mess people up. And like yeah, with the mask, like there's still people out here. I'll see at the grocery store wearing a mask every now and then. I'm like, what I thought when we started it meant you wear a mask because you think you might be sick, and that's why you wear a mask. So if these people think they're sick, why the fuck are they out or whatever? You know, like why can't we go back to the old? Well, that's another way they. I can't even get going on all of it.
They just did the New York thing where they're making it all children have to be vaccinated before this next school year, and it's all the way down to preschoolers.
It's like child abuse, like, and almost a lot of the states were still doing the kids in school while there was no other thing, and it's like, what is going on?
I love that. Like, you remember, like before the pandemic, before any of this happened, like I think almost unanimously from all political sides, people would shit on the anti-vax people, like from all sides, and then. Dude, I bet they were singing the
psyop. Maybe it was a psyop why they got Jenny McCarthy or whatever. I've thought that during the last years, like maybe that was they set her up because she was an actress. You get they pay people to say shit, and I'm like maybe that was all to start making because I grew up fairly religious and around homeschool people, and like. It's not that they were super anti-vax. They just were like, hey, my kid doesn't need a shot for a sexually transmitted disease. They're like 6 months old, right? And then they like, I feel like they started that to like make it look crazy so that when they came back to that's a conspiracy theory, obviously. But I'm like, it makes sense. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think, they like, it's like, they always like demonize conspiracy theorist people, and don't get me wrong, there's some out there that's like too much for me. Like I'm just like that's too much. But like, like the.
Are you saying you don't believe the Earth is flat? This is a flat Earther channel. I'm just kidding.
I actually wait. What do you mean the Earth is round? If you believe that, you just follow CNN. But no, like it's just crazy that like what the narrative that they want you to believe is the biggest conspiracy theory of all. Like that one is the biggest one of all. But like just if someone believes that, I think it's much more rational for someone to believe that maybe 9/11 was more of an inside job than like this COVID thing that we went along with. Like that, like I don't know. It just seems like crazy to me that the conspiracy theorists get demonized, but these are the people that believe in like the biggest conspiracy, like January 6th thing. Like they believe like actually was like this
a failed insurrection.
Yeah, a failed
the worst day it was the worst day in America. It was worse than 9/11.
Worse than 9/11.
Believe it was actually Vietnam. Worse than
9/11. Like I think one person died the day of. Like
the chick who got killed.
Yeah,
by
the cops that we were all cops are bastards. You find the police, and then a cop killed.
Yeah,
and then that one cop who died. There was one cop who died. They tried to say he got
didn't he?
Yeah, he had like a stroke, and they tried to say he got beat to death with a fire.
I think there were 2 more that like killed themselves too. That they tried. They were saying there was 4 deaths or something, but it was like.
Yeah, they just killed themselves. That's weird. Like. Like I don't know, it's like
just the way you said that. That's weird.
It's like they wanted to believe like that Jeffrey Epstein just got like he killed himself, like, and the guards fell asleep and the camera turned off, and it's like what, like are you serious? You're not even trying at this point.
Or all the Hillary Clinton ones. Like there was just another guy who was connected to them that just ran. It was some weird ass story where he like ran. It was like it made no sense. It made no sense whatsoever. Like he killed himself, shot himself, dragged himself over a fence or something. You're like, okay, like oh my
They're like
God.
He ran a red light on this date, and then because he was so distraught, he killed himself 7 days later because of running that red light. And there's a picture of it. And it's like, all right, dude. Like,
how'd he kill himself with 2 gunshot wounds to the back of the head?
The gun malfunctioned. It was actually a double-barreled shotgun, and he sent both bullets, but you can only see 2 bullets.
Yeah.
His head is still there. I don't know how, but
it's just
no BBs. We actually
Well-
pulled 9mm slugs out of the back of his head from the shotgun shells.
Yeah,
The 12 gauge shotgun shells.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's because they lie so much that
Yeah.
that people just question everything. Like it's like I don't know. I don't really know what happened on the Oklahoma City bombing, but I do know that there's some weird stuff that happened with that as well. And like Waco, that's another thing. And it's like,
Uvalde
yeah,
that just
Ruby
happened.
Ridge.
There was some weird
yeah,
shit that happened there.
Uvalde's really weird. Like it's all like it's not that like it's because our government is so corrupt and does
And it's
evil
lied
things. Like,
so many times.
yeah, we lie. We see what they. If you pay attention at all to like foreign policy stuff and what they do to other countries, like we've seen them like topple governments, assassinate people, mess with elections. Like, and people are like, "Oh, like it's crazy that you think the federal government would mess with the election here." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? The most important one to them? You don't think they would mess with it just a little bit?"
Dude, I got into it like a day or two ago with some gun grabber who was like, we don't need to bear arms against the government anymore. That's why the Second Amendment doesn't need to exist. And I'm just like, you fucking kidding me right now?
Probably like the
Holy
most
shit.
important time to get a gun. Like,
Exactly.
especially like after the riots, not even really what the government, I mean, what the government failed to do was stop the riots, but like just watching the riots break out and basically the government did nothing, like that would be enough to like, yeah, you should definitely probably think about arming yourself. Like,
Well, that's why
Not
it was
even-
like that summer had the most guns bought in the history of the United States. And it wasn't just righties that were buying them. That's why it's like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, now, and then you see all these gun buyback programs and it's people bringing their, pistols and random rifles that they got and giving them to the police that they literally just bought a year and a half ago.
You
And
got like $100 for it.
yeah, I don't know. It's insane. They just armed the
Different country.
fucking United States military heavily if they wanted to give out those guns in a case of emergency. That's for goddamn sure.
What do you guys think about, since you're, veterans, when people say like, we all see the people say, well, as an ex-veteran, no civilian should have blah, blah, blah. But like, how do people not logically put together that the governments are the only ones who do wars? So
Yeah.
why would we let them have all the weapons of war? Like, I don't get that logical.
yeah. Well, I always say it's because like the people in the military will say that, like especially the gun grabber types, it's because they found out in Afghanistan or Iraq that it's really hard to suppress people when they shoot back at you. Like, it's hard to enforce your will on people when they shoot back at you all the time. And that's what I like. I don't know. I don't really, it's really weird because it's usually politicians that are not veterans that are trying to become more political. That's the only time you'll ever see a vet really say like, oh, I'm against guns like this, and they're trying to be some sort of, usually like in the Democratic Party. Like that's what I've always seen. It's like, oh, this guy's a veteran and he's a Democrat. He thinks that we should, like civilians shouldn't have these guns. And it's like, yeah, because that's what they do. They fucking grab for power. I hate those guys. Those are the worst ones. This is like, people always send me and Luke those all the time. They're like, hey, check this guy out. And me and Luke always have to go in there and just shit on the guy.
And hope they see it. And because sometimes they have like the veterans that go to the Democratic Party that do that are like it's basically like it's like Candace Owens going to the Republican Party. Like it's the same thing where they're like, oh, see, we can be fucking Hex.
Yeah.
So dumb. I just hate. I'm like, Hex. By the way, you're buzzing a little bit. Like
Oh, shit.
I just always hate that where they're like we all know war is bad, and like if you don't want your fellow citizens to have this weapon of war, which whatever, just for the discussion. But it's like, but you want the government that's allowed to war and bomb people and kill people and leave all that crap in Afghanistan and blah blah blah. And it's like there's just no logical and and then when you're talking about with how everyone bought the guns, it's like you would hope that, because you hope like the most basic one of the most basic human ideas is you protect yourself. You don't want someone just come up in your face and punching you or taking your, like, it's so odd how so many people just don't get that most basic thing. Just like,
Yeah.
it's the most
Well, and there's not a logical consistency in it, right? Like that's like basically what it is. And I try to when I talk about, certain things. Last night we were at a friend's house and we were talking about random shit, and I was like, it's not so much that like I don't see where other people are coming from. Like, yeah, I can see how people can be scared of other random ass people in this world have fucking guns. Like I understand the nature of the emotion that comes with that. But let's logically go through this. If currently that random ass people are going to have guns, and even if there is this strict law that makes it so only government officials have guns, you also know that there is still going to be random ass people that have guns, because it is like that currently right now. So
Shout out to Chirac.
yeah, exactly. Or fucking Detroit, or St. Louis, New
Baltimore.
York still has a gun crime problem. They just beat London, or no, London I think just passed the murder rate for the city for the summer. Like London just beat New York out again or something like that. But
Well, how can that
Stabbing.
be? They don't have guns there. How can
Exactly.
that be?
But and that's the thing where it's like, all right, let's think about this logically. If that's still going to happen and there's still going to be random people with guns, wouldn't you feel a lot more comfortable if you were a person that had a gun just in case you ever came into that situation? And it's like, they're like, yeah, but I've never had that. And it's like, well, that's your fucking privilege showing. You never had a gun pulled on you. It's like, bruh, it's not very fucking fun. And that's coming from, just somebody in Phoenix. Like, it happens all the time, every day, everywhere. And just because you haven't dealt with that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
Shout out to I don't know if you guys know the story of Johnny Hurley out here in Colorado.
Yes.
It was just his
That's
year.
your
It was
profile
just
picture.
yeah. Although I did just switch it back.
Oh.
But yeah. So anyone who's I know everyone watches, but I always got to say it again. So the one house I live in is in Arvada, and I was here when it happened, and he was literally a good guy with a gun. There was cops there, geared up and all their stuff, waiting, not doing anything. And so what does Johnny do? He hears the shots. He runs out from the army supply store, runs straight towards it, like just runs straight towards it in a fucking t-shirt and like Vans, whatever, and like he took the dude down. He took the motherfucker down, and like for some reason, this is what you brought up, Rittenhouse trial, or how your Instagram got messed with, but like they didn't release any of the stuff till during the Rittenhouse trial. So they didn't want anyone to notice.
Wow.
They were like, all of a sudden it was whenever that was, like the end, because that was in June, and then it was like November, December, whatever. And they just said, we're not firing the cop. Here's all the videos now. Because it was right in a downtown area. There's video everywhere. But yeah, and so he went over to disarm the rifle that the bad guy had. And then that's when the cop just showed up and but his family is suing him now, which that sucks because it's on the taxpayers. But I'm glad they're suing because he didn't announce, he didn't say anything, and all the like super cop people are like, well, you just show up and you don't know what to do. And I'm like, I think you could still say like, drop your weapon. I don't know. That's like one of the most common things. But
assess the situation. Yeah.
And that's just like you're saying, there's good guys out there who will, like, he literally saved that. I mean, it is all, especially since COVID, they shut the street down right there. So now that everyone sits out in the streets from all the restaurants, like it could have been really bad, like really, really bad. And that dude had all these guns, and like no one even knows about it. Even in Colorado, people don't know about it. Like they're like, who? What happened? Oh, that, it's just so bizarre. But they don't want that out there.
Yeah.
They don't want that there are good people with guns out there who will save these evil mass shooters who are probably all sparked by the FBI anyways, but that's a separate point. And like, and
well, it's like, going back to the conspiracy front, it's like when you look at some of these big shootings that happen and you look at the person that's done them and you see that there's an FBI case file from the Freedom of Information Acts that come out, that they have a whole profile on this guy and have already been warned that he might do it. And then it's just like, oh, they were silent on it for 4 years. And then they end up on a Discord with 2 other mass shooters and a guy that an account is linked to another, not still in the FBI agent.
Tired, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what the, and it's not even like it's not a conspiracy at that point. That's like things that actually happen, and it's like, okay, well, I feel like there's a logical consistency to believe that that guy either wasn't retired or he's retired in a way that he's still involved with the FBI, and he's talking to two shooters 2 weeks in between each other, the Uvalde shooting and the Buffalo shooting, and it's like, all right, bro, like, I'm sorry, I'm not, this isn't a conspiracy to me anymore. That's legitimate factual things that happened. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
And I think I saw in the with how do you say Uvalde or Uvalde?
Yeah.
Uvalde, yeah.
They were like, oh, they've been having like this AI surveillance and all this surveillance and electronic surveillance on the school, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, it obviously didn't fucking work. Or like, you know, it obviously, how we all think it did what it probably meant to do. But it's like, they want more security and more like surveillance. And it's like, there's literally telling you they did that and it didn't work, supposedly, you know, it's just. You can't not think that way anymore. Like you just can't.
Well, it's sometimes it's kind of hard too because like sometimes like it looks like it might be a conspiracy. Like this is just so stupid. Why would they do that? But me and Luke were also in the military, and there is a lot of incompetence. Like there is a significant lot of incompetence where like maybe some things actually can just be dumbed down to like these people don't know what they're doing. Like they have no idea how to respond, and they're just stupid. Yeah. And it could be maybe even a mix of both, where it's like some weird conspiratorial thing going on, or even like just dumb people everywhere. Like it's so weird.
Well, just the fact that they are trying to find these downtrodden people instead of finding them and they like to try to make them worse to entrap them or whatever, you know. And it's like that's obviously a failed policy position. Like you should not be doing that. Maybe you should be saying like, hey, and did they ever say with the Texas shooter, like, did they ever find the gun shop or the FFL he bought from? Like,
I haven't heard anything about it. Like that's the thing. Like I think they found the gun store because the gun store owner had a statement at one point, but it was like barely a blurb on everybody's news. Like I just happened to catch it one time, and it was probably on Twitter, and it was like a link to the article, and I was just like, oh, so we know. Like the gun store owner was like, I just don't want this coming back on me, kind of thing, and it was like, and it's like, who actually fucking knows? Like until 25 years from now, when the government is fucking downtrodden and it doesn't exist anymore, we're not gonna find out half this shit and half the shit that they did. And that's even if that ever does happen, if we ever find it out in the first place, because they're damn good at keeping things locked up and.
They don't even have to answer to Congress. They just sit there and say, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so if we have this organization that answers to literally no one, that has never-ending funding, never-ending weapons, never-ending everything, maybe that's not good. I don't know.
Yeah, or they can just blatantly lie. No, we are not surveilling, in front of Congress. No, we are not surveilling the United States population. And then 3 weeks later, it's dropped. And they are, and they can blatantly lie and then still face no charges.
I wish I'm sorry, I'm older than everybody here, so like I wish I would have paid more attention during the Patriot Act shit, but I was just too stupid. I didn't fucking know. Like I was young and just surviving. But
they always like when they never tell you like what exactly they're passing. They're like, they're passing the tools we need to monitor terrorist activity in the country. Like they're not telling you like, hey, we're about to spy on the American people. So, and at the time, like, 9/11 was just like 3 years before that. Like that people were scared. Like even people around here in my little small town in Illinois, like were seriously worried that like some terrorist attack would happen somewhere in wherever they might be at. So once they have the people scared, like they can just pass whatever they want. Just pass this, pass that.
They love those emergencies, right? And it's so easy. I know like they have to vote on stuff, but as we all know, they have sketchy vote things too, even between people in there. But like it is so easy for them to pass things. But like if you as a citizen, if you want to even try to like just get a bill even looked at by a committee. It is so fucking hard. It is like
Yeah.
so difficult. You have to have a political action committee half the time. You know, you have to know people. You have to schmooze. Like, it's so fucked up. But they can just pass all this stuff just like done.
Yeah, and it'll be like one bill about like, I don't know, helping farmers, but they pack like 45 other things that have nothing to do with the farmers in there, but it's called the farmers bill. But it also gives the FBI the legal right to detain people. And you're like, wait, what? What does this have to do with farmers?
Oh, and here's $70 billion to gender studies
Yeah,
in Pakistan.
During when we're like supposedly, and that was the one during COVID when they sent that.
Yeah, this is
one,
the second
wasn't it?
stimulus bill. All this
Yeah.
foreign aid going out, and then everybody got like a crummy $1,400 or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was one thing that I think was probably the most like red pilling moment is when when they're all debate, the Democrats and Republicans are debating over like this bill or whatever, and then you realize there's like 70 other things that's jam packed in there. I'm like, oh my god, like is this how we always done this? Like how do we get anything? We call it the farmers bill, but it also gives the FBI like this legal right, or like gives weapons or gender studies weapons or whatever it is.
Gender
Like,
studies weapon.
and it's like that's not even being talked about. We're all talking about this like one thing that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
And they don't have to read it or like. It's just bizarre to me.
Yeah.
As someone who's done, like, I used to do paperwork as a job for all I still do paperwork, but it's like these people don't even read anything. I have all these aides and whatever that are typing everything up and putting it in, and they don't even read it. They don't have any like connection to it other than they just like show up and vote on it based on like what it's just. I just kind of think maybe this government isn't a good idea. What do you guys think about that?
That's my opinion. It's just like it's exactly what you're saying. It's so insane, and it's like, how does this work and consistently work? Like the people that have voted on these bills, like the big omnibus bills that come around every year, and they're like, yeah, we got it the day of, and it's 20,000 pages, and and it's the only way that the government stays open. And it's like, what is actually
I think you just need to
happening?
close.
Yeah, it's like, well, and they don't even know what they're passing. And then they find out something that they pass because they are like, well, we need this funding that my thing is in here. So I'm going to vote yes on it because my thing is in here. And then there's, 30 other things that are going to eliminate their thing and they didn't even know about it. So they didn't even get what they wanted voted on.
Yeah.
Like, let's say it's a good person in Congress. And it's like, it's just like, well, we don't even know. There's laws on the books that the majority of lawmakers don't even know that they're there. Like they have no idea. One person knows because they're the one that put it into the bill, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, say that like Luke was saying, like say you are like say one of us, we made it to Congress, like you're the good person, you're gonna try to do different, whatever. But your options are to, hey, you want to get this part of whatever you want for your district and your people, you have to get this interjected with this bill that has like a bunch of other shit in there. So if you want that, we have to know you're going to vote yes. And it's like, but you try to be principled, be like, well, I want my bill, but I don't want all this other stuff in there too. Then you can't. And then they're just going to be like, oh, Forest Mommy voted against free meals for children at the school, and it's like, well, I
Fuck
did
them
technically.
kids. Fuck them kids.
Yeah, I did kind of, but like I also was against like this gender studies to Pakistan, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's
So
the
like
political thing. The politics.
yeah. So even if you want to be like the good person in Congress, like the system's so like against you that you just kind of have to put your head down and get along.
It's like that saying from The Dark Knight. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah,
I think
dude, honestly,
we say it
that's
all the
big.
time.
Yeah, well, and it's huge in the Marine Corps because it's like it's always with our rank insignia. So like you got private first class, lance. I almost said terminal lance, lance, corporal sergeant, and then you have staff sergeant and above, and they have like a little rocker underneath. Like it's the same insignias, but it's got an extra part to it, and it's always like you either die a hero, and it's like you die as a PFC or any of those things. and it's got those rank insignias, or you live long enough to become a villain, and it's because all the people that are E6 and above, a staff sergeant and above, are just like too much a part of the game that they're a villain now, because it's all politics once you get to that level. And it's so you either get out or you die in war as a hero, or you live long enough to become the one that's sending children off to war. And it's like, or playing the political game, so you're just fucking people up the entire time. But that's a fucking statement to live by, dude. No joke.
It really is.
Yeah. We said that a lot in the military, and it's so true. Like, the longer you stay in, you have to get, like, drink the Kool-Aid. You just have to. If you want that easy retirement in 20 years, and you have a family to take care of or whatever, and that free Medicare or TRICARE, then you just have to get along. You can't step out the boundaries anymore. Like, you can kind of get away with it, the younger ranks, and that's like where most people get out after their first enlistment. Most people don't stay in. So that's like relatively like still normal people. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. Like, they're not completely bought in the system. Actually, like, half of them hate the system, just absolutely hate it. So those people like are on the bottom, and they're just screwing with us from the higher ranks. And then, like Luke says, like, we would always say this because, what does that say? Rockers and Bright will never defeat the E4 Mafia. This guy knows.
Yeah.
This guy knows.
this guy knows what's up. A-Dubs has it on lock.
A-Dubs, he's got a good channel on YouTube too. He's fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Randomly, like a lot of like somehow Forest Mommy channel is really piggybacked on gun YouTube, so that's been great. For, like, viewers. It's like you just need gun people. It's fine. But I don't know if you guys follow Terribly Tactical, but we trade a lot of people. He's fun too.
Yeah,
Is
he
that-
might show up in the chat at some point.
Is that YouTube
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
on Twitter, but he's big on YouTube, not so much Twitter.
Yeah.
But I thought you have a
Dude.
channel, A-Dubs. Oh, no, he doesn't. I thought he did. Maybe that's someone else. Why? I'm too good.
Yeah, we're not big in the
It's
YouTube
Sunday.
sphere.
I know
No, we're
YouTube's
not.
hard. That's why, like, my friend Tactical, he
Oh.
has like 20,000 viewers, and like he
Mhm.
streams every Sunday night, which is super fun. He's in Chicago, actually. He works at a gun store in a suburb of Chicago somewhere. So like his whole channel is just all guns, and he won't say he's libertarian, like, because it's embarrassing to say that, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he like is.
kinda like
That's
a
what to say
dark
you're
stain
retarded
on
at
your-
that point.
Yeah, you're like,
I know.
I'm a retard. No, but
It's
he's like,
yeah, I was
he's
in
minded
special
like
ed in
all
school.
I rode the short bus. It's basically the same as saying I'm a libertarian.
yeah.
That's what I'm just gonna start when people ask my political philosophy, like, "Oh, what are you, Republican or Democrat?" And it's like, I rode the short bus to school, and everybody's going to understand. Everybody will understand. Oh, you're one of those.
What
Yes,
a
yes, I
man.
am.
Uh,
You're one of
It's so
those.
funny when you talk to people because right away they're like, you can't vote for the third party,
No.
blah blah blah. But like my whole thing is like I'm just giving a little energy, a little this. I don't believe in the political strategy at all. I don't believe it'll ever turn around. But there's this avenue. I'll throw a little energy towards it,
Yeah.
especially because we've just built such a good camaraderie with all these people over the last 2 years, especially out here in Colorado. Like, so I started a group off of Liberty Twitter. Before I was even involved with the LP out here, we all started meeting up, and like now we have like some of them are like really involved with the MC and LP now. Like it's really cool, but I'm like, in the end, whatever. Like I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's the local
want
shit too, the local stuff. So it's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, and it's like I want them to succeed, so I'm still gonna give a little bit of energy to them because they're my friends or whatever. So I want you
Right.
to succeed, and it's hard telling them sometimes that it's like, bro, I really don't care. So like, I'll support you, and I'll hype you up when you need hyping up, but I'm not gonna show up. I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
that's just not my thing.
I ain't getting
Yeah.
signatures, dog.
It's
I'm not-
funny. I
I'm
did
not-
door knock. I did door knock for a guy out here one time. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm a real estate broker. I would never fucking door knock, even for me to make money, which technically, numbers wise, marketing wise, you can make money. I'm like, I would never fucking do that. But I was all like, hey, like, but it's funny. Like people always say well, Twitter's just, it's funny because you have a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people on Twitter that project. I'm super fucking honest, obviously, but like there are people who like, if they don't feel they're doing enough, they'll project and be like, oh, well, you belong to the LP and they don't do shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, not really. Like, I mean, I don't belong. I hang out with them and whatever, but like, It's just funny how people are like the super
It's like,
duper
bro, I'm just
anarchists.
friends.
Yeah. We're just
Well,
friends.
That's what like that's you. I don't. You guys probably see this all the time, but you'll see people like debating strategy of like how are we gonna spread liberty or whatever. And it's like I never contribute to that because I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not. I don't have a strategy. I don't have an idea. And I was like, so I'm not gonna criticize other people. I'll be like, well, that makes sense. Whatever, sure. But like people want to go be Republicans, or some people want to go Libertarian. Some people just like,
Let's talk about how you
Gore.
shouldn't be poor constantly over and
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
never diss on anyone. I'm just like, yeah, if whatever, dude, find your own path. Hopefully it works. I'm rooting for everybody. I'm not even just rooting for my friends. I'm rooting for everybody, but I'm not joining. I'm not like in the strategy, like how we spread the message. I just want to have a podcast to talk to cool people and have friends. Like that's all I really want.
Exactly.
And I think that's more. I think that does more than sometimes than the political strategy. It's like just get people to like. I think we've seen the best success with like vets because that's kind of how our channel opened up was like to be like a place for veterans that are kind of coming into the liberty sphere. And I mean, it's not a very friendly place for veterans at the onset, especially when you get involved with some of the anarchists. They're like, nope, you're a fucking child killer. And it's like, bro, I got drunk in Japan for 2 years. Like, I didn't do shit in the military, you know? And so it's like, we wanted to have that thing where it's like, we talk about this shit, but we also talk like vets. We act like vets because we are. And I mean, it seems to have worked plenty enough that we have some good feedback from veterans where it's like, I never really thought about things like this. And now I'm like, you know, a fucking straight up anarchist. And I'm like, that's dope, dude. Like, I'm so proud of you. You made the leap.
Yeah.
It's better than like, hey, you're a vet, so you should
Yeah.
think this way. It's like, whatever, dude. Like, do you find your own way through it? And if we are a stepping stone of that, then even better. And it's doing more than, you know, somebody yelling on the corner, like, I ride the short bus, sign my fucking paper.
Yeah. And we like the coolest thing I would say is we've had usually younger men, probably like teenagers or becoming like young adults, like those guys. A lot of people, I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't know how many now, but there's been a decent amount for us that have messaged us and been like, hey man, I was really considering to join the military, but after listening to your podcast, like I'm never doing that, and I'm gonna go to trade school or go off to do something else. And that's always the coolest thing for us is like,
Yeah.
you know, we endured our contract and it was pretty miserable for us, but now we can talk about it and hopefully turn people away from choosing that type of lifestyle.
And it's fucking working.
Good. Yeah, my nephew tried to get in the Air Force like 3 years ago because he grew up literally right across from the academy and stuff. But like he wanted to become Air Force, then become a firefighter, but he couldn't get in for some reason. But I'm like, thank fucking God, like thank God. And he's still becoming a firefighter anyways. Like it's all fine, you know. Like
Well, I think it's because like I mean, at least for me, coming out of public school, like they don't really leave you up like that many options. It's like go to school or join the military. Like that's kind of like the only
marry
thing
rich. You're marry rich.
Or marry rich, yeah. but but that wasn't really an option for me.
Hey, there's equality now. There's rich bitches out there, so
there is. My dad keeps trying to get me a job at this nursing home, and his whole idea is to find me a sugar mama.
Just some of them will like put your name on the deed of the house, even.
Yeah. He's like, you get a job there, you start walking around, you check their charts every day, every day, so you know which one's closest to their time.
I like your dad. He's thinking. He's thinking.
We're gonna form a number system. Priority 1, priority 2.
He's like, oh, Viola. Viola's like, I don't know. She probably got a couple months, but Agnes.
Eleanor is getting a little drowsy today.
Look at her.
When I first started dating my girlfriend, I worked security, and I was basically, it was security, but it was like first aid for like assisted living and non-assisted living, like retirement home basically. And so I always told her, I was like, these old ladies, they love me, babe, you got to watch out. Like I'm gonna have a sugar mama. And I was like, I'm gonna have to do what I have to do. You know, like I'm gonna have to do what I have to do to get that bag.
They probably loved you too. They're like, "Ah, he's so cute." They love
Yeah.
it. I used to work. I worked in nursing homes for a little bit over the last 10 years, and I was like, they love it. They just love young people. Like,
Yeah.
they're like sweet
Yeah,
to
just
them.
being involved in anything in their life. They're just like, oh, I gotta talk to him. I gotta talk to him. Because all the other security guards and like first aid people, they were, you know, basically could have been in that retirement home if they wanted to be. But I was, you know, 24, 25, out of the military and doing this job, and they fucking loved me. It was awesome.
I
Yeah.
love it. Or even like if you volunteer, like I over the COVID bullshit, I used to volunteer a lot because I had the time to do it. But then everybody got fucking stupid with COVID, right? And
Yeah.
like, but like I was much younger than their like target, and I'm not even that young, but like I was like much younger than them, you know. So they like love it when there's young energy around, and like, yeah. Just got to get them to get your name on the deed to the house. That's all.
Yeah,
I've had people that literally happened to where they like befriended an older person. Later, you know, there was someone down the street, and then like all of a sudden their name was on the deed to the house, and I was like,
Yeah, it happens. It's so wild that it happens, but it does happen.
I know you can do it
More
really
often than
easily
people
through
think.
marriage, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that is a lot more work.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm in a relationship. First mommy is not single, but I'm not married because fuck the government. That's what I'm
That's a good.
I don't judge it either. Invite me to your weddings, and especially if you have an open bar. I love weddings.
The A-dubs coming in hot.
Well, shit. God. I don't know what else you got, but we're at hour 17. I don't know if you want to keep going. Yeah. Hex has been talking nonstop. I know.
I think I don't know what he's working on over there, but he's working hard.
Yeah. It's because his camera angle looks so weird. It looks like he's like not even paying attention to us. Like he's like, I got more important shit than this live stream.
It's like I'm already editing the podcast as we're talking, so I can be done when we're done.
You missed it. We actually was the
I wrote
first
the intro music, so
so today was we've been playing the intro music, but very like
it sounded like shit for like the past however long. It sounds good now.
So my friend, I don't think he's in the chat, Sibling Revelry, he's Sib Rev on Twitter, but he was like, hey, do you want me to teach you how to use StreamYard that you've paid for the last multiple months and you never even tried to use any of the special things you can use? And I was like, sure. But so today was our first day with our intro and our intro music, and it turned out really, and the ticker. Have you noticed the ticker at the bottom? So cool.
Yeah, it's fucking dope. We need that's the other thing. Like, you know, we've been such a piece of shit about our podcast that it's just kind of like we always say we're gonna do more with it, and then we just never do. And we're like, we should probably like try to take it seriously at a certain point, and it's just we never do.
It's working for y'all though.
Yeah, it is. But like if we had it just a little bit better, I think it would be just slightly beneficial for us. And we're so like we need to switch over to StreamYard. We still use fucking what's it called? Zoom. For our meetings, and there's not much that you can do. I just have my background. Typo has his background, which is usually like Biden falling down off the fucking airplane. And it's like a weird fucking grainy photograph in the background, and it's really fucking funny, but it's a good time. But yeah, I think StreamYard's probably the best opportunity for podcasters and like YouTubers. It seems to work out pretty well.
Every time we go on a podcast or a live stream, I guess, to have StreamYard, I'm like, oh, these guys are a little bit more professional than we are.
Yes, we are very
Trust
professional.
and believe we are not professionals. To the imagination.
Well, they always like
this damn show is called Golden Showers for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Well, we did. Whose was it? I think it was Radical with Shane Hazel. I think we did that one, and it had like we were in the like I don't know, the pre-lobby, whatever the hell, the studio, that's what they call it, the studio or whatever. And then he starts the show and it does like a countdown, gets like this really nice intro video. And I get like kind of lost and I'm like watching the video. I'm getting into the video. And then all of a sudden he's like, and here's Typo. And I'm like, oh shit, we're live, bro. Like, I'm not ready for this.
And some
Yeah, we
people love
love-
it. Like they're so
Yeah.
good at technology. I will start to do something and it won't work, and then I'm done. I'm done. Like I don't want to touch it again or even try
Yeah,
harder.
I went to Georgia. My girlfriend and I went to Georgia, and we were just like scoping it out, see if we liked it, because we're looking at moving out of Arizona eventually. And so where we were at, Shane Hazel was like an hour away, so we went up and visited him, and he was like so excited to like show me his studio and stuff. And I was like, "Damn, dude, mine's literally on this fucking shitty desk in the corner of my apartment. It has like it's got a gay ass ring light behind it, and like just cords and." Empty fucking beer cans and like shit all over it. This is like super professional and like nicely lighted. And his son is doing like a YouTube channel for his like Lego builds, and his shit was more professional than our podcast. And I was just like, God damn. Like I am fucking 27 like at that point, and I was like, or 28, and I was just like, oh man, we are behind the curve. And then
We are
that week,
slacking.
yeah, I went to Typo and I was like, we got to do something, and we still haven't. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm so motivated to do this. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
so-
And then we made like a whole plan, and we haven't done a single thing on the plan.
Is your email address part of your plan?
Yeah, no, the email just
Damn.
stays.
No.
Veterans
Yeah.
Against Government at Gmail.
Oh, the
Yeah.
badge. The badge.
Yeah.
Badge. That's what we were supposed to be.
Vagcast.
Instead of biting the bullet, it was supposed to be Vagcast.
You could always like eventually like doing business as Badgecast, just like
It's so good.
And then
I love
Badcast
it.
they rebranded, so you guys can
Yeah.
rebrand to Badgecast.
And we
Yeah.
we do our own editing. Well, I do the editing for the audio version, and I always fuck it up. Like at least like I always fuck something up, and people like will message me and tell me how mad I messed it up, and I'm like, oh shit, I should go back and fix it. I'm like, well, I'll get it right next week.
I don't edit
I'll
shit
leave
up. We don't edit shit on ours unless I know I said something that I absolutely like in case my mom sees. That's it. Like then I'll go
Cash
back
give
and
you
edit
$100
that.
if you,
Does
if
your
you drop a
mom
hard
watch
R
your
right now.
streams?
Who, me? I'm not. No, they'll tear it down. They'll take it down, Hex. I can't say it. I can't even say it with the A. I
Apparently,
don't-
liberals on Twitter can. Talking about
Yeah,
Clarence Thomas.
damn. They were showing the racist motherfucking self, weren't they?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
the
And
tolerant
how can
left.
you can't even like point? You're like, look what you're doing, and they just can't
Yeah.
even like.
And then the one bitch tried to say she isn't racist. She was just making a point. It's like, it's the point
Yeah.
that you're racist? Because you definitely made that point.
Yeah.
And there was a sign at one of the protests that was the Yoko Ono song. The women are the hard
niggers
R
of
of the
the
world. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how could this white bitch, which I apologize for us, but like, what in her mind thought that she could write a sign like that and walk around? Like, I don't get it. Like, and I'm like pretty radical in my mind, but that's just like, how do you, this white girl walking around with the N-word on a sign?
Yeah.
Did y'all see
I
that
mean-
shit I posted like 2 days ago? So I found this meme a while ago. It's like this. It's a picture of this chick reading this book, and I guess whoever made the meme, they just typed 328 pages of just the N word.
Oh.
And then I posted that, and I said, liberals over the past several days out here are like,
Yeah.
Dude, it's so true. And that's why I always come hard at the left. I've been coming hard at the right lately, but I always originally because I grew up that way. I grew up kind of left leaning. And but God, dude, they're just like the most logically inconsistent branch ever.
They can't admit when they're wrong. They can never
Yeah.
fucking admit when they're wrong.
Yeah, at least when the right is being logically inconsistent, they are like, yeah, we said that, but we don't believe that anymore because fucking this page on in the Bible
Yeah.
or some shit. Like they have an expectation where they can they can like change things, but it's not to this extent that liberals do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's back to the COVID shit. It's like for months and months and months of Biden's running and talking about vaccination and shit like that. There's video, Pelosi, fucking Biden, Kamala Harris, like fucking what's it, the little Italian that's in charge of everything, Fauci.
Fauci.
The
Yeah,
little
there's
Italian.
yeah, they're
We
literally
don't take
all of
him.
them.
Us Italians are not taking him. I've decided.
But literally all of them said, you know, you cannot get COVID with this vaccine, and then, you know, everybody was still getting COVID, and it's like, well, and now they change it. Well, if you get this booster, you will not get COVID, and then
Yeah.
everybody
getting
still
COVID.
got COVID, and
Or even,
it's like,
yeah.
and they don't even act like they said. They're like, no, we never said that. Like, they'll say that now, and they're like, no, we never said that. It completely cures everything.
Yeah, they did this like even before that, where like before the vaccine even came out, and they were like, "I'm not taking Donald Trump's vaccine. I don't trust."
Yeah, I
this shit."
remember that. There
And
was
then
another
like all of
clip.
a sudden, Biden's president, and it's like, "This is the greatest thing. Like it's going to save America." Like, what is going on? Like no one, and they don't care. They just don't.
And nobody
care.
questions it, and that's what
I
killed
remember
me.
this
Yeah, no.
that Define L's Twitter account. They had posted
Yes.
something. I don't remember the chick's name. She goes, Trump is taking a page out of Putin's playbook as far as like a vaccine mandate would go. And this
Yeah.
is before the 2020 election. Then after, she goes, let it rain vaccine mandates.
Dude, I
So
love
dumb.
I love the memes that have showed up where it's like showing like
Yeah.
the original post, and it's like all blurry, and it's got the original post, what happened in, you know, 2019, and it's them saying one thing, and then it's 2022, and it's like a recent post, and it's them saying the exact opposite of that, but it's has something to do with like Donald Trump or something like that, and they're literally the other side of the position. And it's like, I get that people can like grow from their positions. I understand that. But if you go back and question them on it, they're like, no, that's true too. And it's like, bro, but then this, and they're like,
This
it's
one
not the
can't be.
same. It's
That's
the,
why it's easy for us to go after coming from left and
Yeah.
or right. Like when you're like,
Yeah.
no, like we haven't really necessarily changed. Obviously, we fine tune, we change, we grow. But overall, I'm still the same fucking person.
Yeah.
It's y'all
Mhm.
who are like crazy. Like
flip flopping. It's like
yeah.
the SpongeBob meme where the what's his name is talking to Patrick. He's like, "This is your ID, right?" And he's like, "No." He's like,
man,
"Well,
right,
your
yeah.
name is yeah." And he's like, "Your name is Patrick Starr, right? And you live at this place, right?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "And it fell out of your pocket, correct?" And he's like, "Yes." He's like, "Then this is your idea or ID." And he's like, "No, it's not." It's like, ah, no, like that's got to be the most frustrating. It's the most frustrating shit ever talking to people like that. It kills me.
I always
kills
say
me.
about like the white, like I've always been like that's why I was an apostate when I was young. I was obviously different, but obviously there's still some basic facts in life that are traditional or conservative, right? Like if you want to raise a family, there's kind of just some best ways to go at it, right?
Yeah.
But like I always laugh because I'm like, no, I wanted to make friends with trans people and understand trans people more. So I would go to the gay clubs, I'd dance, and I made friends, and I have friends to this day that I made then. I didn't have a baby and make my baby trans to get to know trans people. And that's what they're doing. Like, that's what's happening. It's these crazy people. I'm like, you can just go get to know these. You don't have to create people. You have to let people just create naturally and organically, right? In their life. And if they end up trans, whatever, if they're after 18, I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't get, whatever. Like one of my best friends is a cross-dresser. He'll never say call him a man or woman, whatever, but he voted Trump and he was so excited he thought Trump was going to win. And he was like, I'm showing up to the bar as Chloe. That's his character. And like, Trump didn't win. It was just so like sad. And I'm like, there's just so many amazing different people out there that don't fit the stereotypes necessarily. But like, it's like they want to create the stereotypes though. And like I said, that's like, you have these white women who are like creating trans kids or whatever. And I'm like, just what the fuck? Like, stop doing that shit. And like, but you can still be accepting of different things.
Yeah, it's like when you see this post and it's like, it's usually a white woman and they're sitting there and they're like, "This is my baby. It was just born," and it's a baby person. It's not a fucking, like, they refer to it as, not he or she, and it's just this thing that they call this, not even named because they can't name it because they don't know if it's going to be a male or a female when it grows up. And it's like, that child is going to go through some serious mental issues. It's not going to know what the hell it is. And it's
Yeah.
always going to
Like
have
we know
problems.
more now where we know how to not be as damaging, but still let
Yes.
people develop. Where we're like,
Well, it's like being a child, like it's about how you go through your most traumatizing events and what you do. Like nobody comes out of childhood unscathed. Like don't give people more problems.
Right.
you know what's funny about the whole like not calling? So we had some friends who we're still tight with, but COVID, they definitely bought into it more, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're not going to put the gender on the birth certificate." Blah blah blah. Well, Mr. Forrest, mommy was over there like a month ago, and the mom kept calling the baby her. So was like, you
You're
know
like,
what? I
oh.
guess that's out the window because it's a her now. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, it's just so stupid. Like there are way more important things to worry about with like
Yeah.
developing a human and raising a human, which
Yeah.
I know nothing about. I don't have actually real children, but we all observe. Everyone can observe things, right? And it's like,
Well, yeah, I would be the asshole that I was like, why did you just assume her gender?
yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm just
Go
that
over the
guy. Like
top.
you just assumed your child's gender. Like how dare you? And like just because, especially if they were the ones that did it in the first
Yeah,
place.
they're the
like,
ones
I
who
would've been like,
brought it up. We're
yeah,
like, oh, okay, cool.
I wouldn't be able to help myself. But I get myself in trouble all the time. Like I'm just that kind of person that like I know I shouldn't say this specific thing in this instance after, you know, the hour-long conversation that we've had, and then I'm like, but I'm gonna say it. Like
You can point it out. There are people like, and I feel like a lot of people like in our general circles and stuff, like we can point things out kind of in a way that's not super mean or super
Yeah.
like disrespectful, but you're like, okay, this is fucking stupid. Like you're being fucking stupid.
right.
That's what I try to do because I'm like, I'm a dumbass too, but there are like some things that are just, come on, like
doesn't
being,
make
I remember
sense.
being told I was a Nazi because I said it was wrong to hold up the black fist to the BLM protesters who were screaming in people's faces. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't put your fist up just to make them pass by. Like that's, but you know, I'm a Nazi, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we all are. Hex
Yeah,
is
we're
the
all-
biggest Nazi
Hex
of us
is-
all.
Actually, I am the black man now. Hex gave me his black
Oh yeah,
card a
she's
while
Yeah.
ago.
Force Mommy is the current holder of my black card. I did
Yeah.
tell you all
Dang,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
It's like
'cause
a
he
black
didn't-
chastity belt key or something like that. Oh, love it.
It's because you didn't vote for Biden. That's your fault, Hex.
Yeah, and then like 10 other things happened between then and
He
now.
likes guns, but not in like a thug gang kind of way. He just appreciates guns, and
Oh,
you
okay.
know, like, you're not allowed to be black and appreciate the two-way. You're only allowed to be black and be if I could, like, you know,
That's right.
thuggy
thug.
and gang violence.
Yeah, dude, their stereotype. That's the other thing. Their stereotype is more racist than the shit that they're saying is racist. Like, it's so fucked up, dude. It's so
Well, I just-
fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah, I just love when they just assume like black people are poor. Like they just assume
Yeah.
every black person is
They
struggling
don't.
in
They
life.
can't get an ID.
Which
Yeah,
is like
they
so.
can't- they
don't know how
they're
to use
like,
the internet.
oh, these poor black
send them
people
crack
are so
pipes, by the way.
stupid.
Y'all remember
They
that?
don't know how to go
Yeah.
get an ID, and they don't know. And then
Yeah.
like
It's like,
people are like, I remember somebody did a video where they were like kind of in a down. I think they may have been
Yeah.
in Philly, and they were like, "Do you know where to get an ID?" And the dude's like, "Yeah, right over there." But and like
Yeah.
they had talked to some white dumb bitch beforehand who was like, "Oh, it is so hard for them to get IDs," and then they're all like, "No, like we're
Yeah.
right over there, or whatever."
They're like, "Do
Yeah.
you have internet access?" And they're like, "I've had internet access since 2002." Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
The fuck are
Do you have
talking
a Do you have a cell phone? And they're like, "Yeah, here's my iPhone fucking 10 that just came out." Like, like what? You know, like, like it's
It's
like
like-
all the fucking shit, dude. It's so crazy. And then these people think, and it's, you know, the white knighting, you know, it's like they do it all the time. They do it all the fucking time. Like they have the white savior complex, and they talk about other people being racist. And I was like, I think the white savior complex is like one of the most racist things ever. And it's like me telling Hex how to do his music so he can be successful without me knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And
what
it
the
always
fuck?
comes from white, and it comes from like white, mostly dependent soccer mom
Yeah.
type bitches.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Mhm.
Who
what?
probably who probably don't have. a
Which I
single
should know
boyfriend.
more about. Like I'm one of them, but it's like you don't have to be that way. Like it's just so bizarre. Like
We
how
lead by
they-
example. We
I'm
need-
trying. Like that's I'm like thankful for Twitter and all the people I've gotten to meet through it. Like I've met some really cool people and like been connected with so much cool shit. And it's like, and I've even like we were talking about losing friends earlier. That I've had a lot of other friends too, though, who are like, you know what, I get you. Like I have a friend who from high school he makes jewelry out of spent casings, and like we're best friends now. He comes to my Liberty parties and stuff, and like there's
Yeah.
just like there's people do see that when you're like when you actually care about someone's freedom to the point where you're like, I'm not gonna fucking tell you what to do. People, it's weird. People like you when you like
Mhm.
accept them and don't tell them
Yeah.
what to do and like love them. It's weird,
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. People just want, affection from the people that they
Yeah.
surround themselves.
Wild.
So
It's just
wild.
like wild.
Well, it might be like you're showing like a love and affection, and then like the people supposed to be in charge of us like clearly hate them, like just hate them with every passion. Like, I mean, we like being from the Midwest, we like kind of always get shit on from like the coasties. Like they just like
Yes.
they call us like
Yep.
flyover states. Like they don't even acknowledge like, what are you gonna do down there? Like play in your cornfield? And I'm like, okay, yeah. And they post pictures like flying over a plane. They're like, what are these squares everywhere?
Or
Like, what are-
Cowtown. They just call
Oh, I
Denver
remember that.
Cowtown, but then all the motherfuckers
Mhm.
moved here anyways. But
Yeah.
they
And-
hate that.
But they always have like, and people wonder why like the middle of the country's so red and hate them. It's because of how they look down on
There's
everyone
Arrogant
else.
motherfuckers ever.
Yeah, besides New York and California or whatever. Like, it's so annoying. But we always get that here in Midwest that people just shit on us and we kind of get forgotten about.
Yeah,
Which
nobody
I
gives a
was
fuck about y'all.
technically born in Illinois
this point,
as
I'm
well,
kinda
typo.
for it.
I was born in Cook County.
Oh,
technically.
I'm sorry.
I know. Luckily, we moved to Colorado when I was like 6.
You
so
made it out alive? Thank
Thank
God.
God. I'm like, that's why I'm like, I get it. My dad, like, he got the politics and he's like, we're getting the fuck out of there, and they made really good. I'm like, I grew up in 10 acres instead of Berwyn, if you know where Berwyn is, and it's like a Chicago suburb.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful.
I've been to Chicago one time and I've lived in Illinois my whole life.
I've been to
Yeah.
Chicago twice, maybe.
You might
I've
be
been to
closer
Chicago
to Chicago
once.
than I am.
Oh, true in Cleveland.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah,
I
our-
might be shit.
You're more Chicago than Typo is, and he lives in Illinois.
Yeah. A
How?
lot of
Oh my god.
yeah. Well, a lot of people like we're closer to St. Louis, so that would be considered like our city down here, and it's on the border of Illinois, and there is an East St. Louis, but no one goes there.
You just drive through the highway really fast at that part. You just like
Yeah.
get through it, you
It's-
know.
It's like the one place that I've seen in this country that looks like a third world country. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I want to go to Detroit just to look, but
I know,
it's
right?
also
Just
like,
to sightsee.
yeah, just
Yeah.
just to be like, damn, this is America.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I was gonna say if it's coming around at all, because I know a lot of people did, like, investors were like, might as well just go fucking buy a block or two because it was, super cheap and
You buy
It's
it for
like
the price of a
$20.
VCR.
yeah. But I'm like, and I was gonna say it hasn't been coming around, but then they just destroyed the global economy over the last 2 years. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
They're gonna bring
optimistic.
Detroit back.
there's that. There's that
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
any
it's-
like growth was like again.
Yeah.
So.
It's fucking insane. Though wherever the world goes in the next, 5-10 years, it's going to be drastically different than everybody has, assumed the reality of what it is currently. So it's going to be super interesting to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, like I kind of think I can't think like once Trump happened, the America changed. Like we're on a different course now, guys.
Yep. You got to speed up
What-
the Great Reset, right?
Yeah, and there's everything with like, have you guys heard about like the CERN, like
Yeah, that I remember that
I keep
like in the
seeing that
early
pop up, but I don't
2000s
know.
when they built that because it was just
yeah,
okay because like I'm old. I made a meme forever ago, like early 2000s, okay? And it was when they built the Large Hadron Collider thing,
Right.
and they were like talking about smashing particles. So I put a picture of Hulk on it, like Hulk smash. This was forever ago, and they've run it a couple times, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it's
right?
supposed to be like I saw like the crazy right wingers this weekend. They were like, we need you guys to stay, kind of sober over July 4th because they're turning on the CERN particle collider on July 5th, and they're doing it after everybody everybody's like not in the right headspace on July 4th. And they're doing it because they're going to create another split in the time. They're like trying to put this box around the globe basically and split time so it goes into something else. And they said that everybody's like memories of the Mandela effect line up to like when things change, line up to when that collider or particle collider has been turned on. Yeah. So they're like, be ready for the next round of Mandela effects. And I was messing with I was talking about it with my girlfriend, and I told her, I was like, do you know what the Mandela effect thing is? And she was like, yeah, I've heard of it. And I was like, I pulled up one and it had like 40 of the top known Mandela effects. And I was asking her, I was like, which one is it? And like showing her the picture, which one is it? And she picked the ones that I don't remember. And I was like, you're a fucking fed. Like, I was like, we're not together anymore. You're spying on me.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. She was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you psychopath?
Yeah. It's like, maybe you're the one that's been wrong the whole time. Like,
yeah, exactly.
like,
but apparently July 5th, there's going to be more Mandela effects because they're going to split time again with the CERN, whatever particle collider.
Do you think?
Be on the lookout.
Do you think maybe like, so we talk about this a lot, but how there's kind of like, if you're connected to like the internet, and then if you're not, you're almost in like two different realities. Like if you don't like get informed or like know what's going on from the internet, like the internet has a different perspective of what's going on than everywhere else. Like people not connected. It's kind of weird when you actually see it happen.
And there's technically less people on the internet, isn't there? Or like less people on Twitter
and
stuff.
Yeah, I would probably say like, I mean, I don't really know the numbers exactly, but there's a lot of people that are like, they have social media, but they don't really use it for like getting news or connected with other people. They just use it to view things or whatever's going on. And then like, there's people like us that's kind of like more ingrained in internet culture.
We know too much. We know
too much. And that's why we're the weird ones, is because I don't know, we found interest or got connected with other people like us. So like we're living in a different reality than like your regular person that probably doesn't follow like a bunch of news stuff or political stuff all over the world and stuff. But that's what's really cool about Twitter is like you'll know things, like at least you'll start to get information about something. Now sometimes it's false, but a lot of times that gets figured out in the next couple of days or so. But you'll get news about something faster than like
way faster.
Yeah,
I remember that right when I got off Facebook, and I was like, "Twitter's so smart."
Yeah, like exactly. Like I'll see something on Twitter, and then like a week later, my mom will be like, "Oh, did you see this?" And she saw it on Facebook, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that happened like a week ago." And
that's me and Mr. Forrest mommy all the time. I'm like, "Yeah, I already knew that." Like constantly.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't know. It's just weird that there's like these two different realities, and that's where I think like the whole like red pill, blue pill thing kind of like really explains this. Is like, at least from what I've seen, people connected to the internet a lot more are pretty red pilled on like what's
when you can talk to like 100 people and there's 50 of them that are in each state. Like there's one person in each state that you can talk to on a daily basis, and then another 50 people in 50 different countries across the world, and you talk to all these people on a daily basis. You have a lot more knowledge about what's going on in certain places than the person that just is like hanging out in their community, only posts to social media for like the people in their community, and only gets their news from the local news station. You know what I mean? And it's just and that's where it's a lot easier to like pick things up, like make connections to things when you see you know, all that information coming out from 50 different people in the United States and 50 other people outside the United States, and what this means for them and those things, than when you get it from the 50 people in your town that you talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been able to talk to people around the world. I regularly talk to my Australian friends, and like, which was like crazy over the last few years, you know.
yeah,
And it's like I would have never been connected to them unless through Twitter and whatnot. But it's like, once you know, when you hear what's going on in other places and not what fed to you on like Facebook, which Facebook really does. I know all social media has that proponent to it, but Facebook really does
100%.
really mold you. Because I remember at the very end, I was getting off and I was kind of in libertarian anarchist space, but I didn't know who Jordan Peterson was. And if I like, they made him, whatever I saw about him, he was the worst person in the world. You know, he was evil, which I don't agree with him. But then I see him on Twitter and I'm like, oh, he's not that bad. Like, what are you guys saying? And it was so interesting, kind of like a red pill moment where you're like,
well,
oh,
they've done that. They've done that with like a lot of right wing, people they consider right wing, that I would like, they'll demonize the hell out of them. And then like, that's the only thing I know about them is like, you know, whatever that blew up in the news. So then like 4 years later, when I see something about whatever this guy's saying, I'll be like, oh, isn't that the crazy guy from like 4 years ago? Like, what is this? And then when you actually like dive in and like listen to what they talk about and then kind of look at the story back then and how it was very jaded and didn't really make sense. And you're like, oh my God, like, I thought this guy was bad this whole time, but he's actually like pretty spot on.
Very fine people on both sides. Like there are people still who will watch that, which whatever the fuck you think about Trump or whatever. But I'm like, that they literally lied. They literally fucking lied.
I think the Trump era was probably the most annoying as a libertarian because like the left hated Donald Trump for like dumb reason and lies, like complete lies. And you just found yourself...
Not the good shit they should hate him for.
Nothing like... They didn't talk about like what he was doing in Yemen or like whatever, like his foreign policy or like anything like that they could have talked about. It was always about like Russia or
he's racist,
a racist, a sexist, like,
grabbing
all
the
this
pussy.
Stuff. Yeah. It was all that stuff. And it was like, God damn it. It's like, I'm not even a big fan of this guy, but I have to defend him because you're so stupid. I have to tell you.
Right.
Well, that's good, but that's just because you're an alt-right white nationalist.
Yeah,
that's why.
It's because
they're wrong.
It's because you're a white cis male typo.
I know. Well, it doesn't help
from a flyover state.
Yeah. Where I'm from, my family's a MAGA crowd, so like I guess they're more Trump sympathetic. But so like, yeah. But the worst was just how like. I don't know. Like, I think this is what like the thing that's like changed with the Trump era is like they weren't just like demonizing Trump; they started demonizing his voters, and that was like crazy to me. And I would always
bullying.
Out. Yeah. And I'd be like, why do you think they voted for Trump? Dude, you're calling them fucking terrorists. Like, is that really going to make them not vote for Trump next time? Like, what is going on here?
Or just treating them like they're trash or something. And it's like, I'm like, when you were because it's all the like kids who got made fun of in high school. I feel that's like the left and the right or something like that. Like, and they just want to make fun. They just want to constantly make fun and condescend to anybody who voted for Trump. You know, in just such a way where you're like, why would you even talk to that person? You know, it's just like, so shallow.
It's like it's like the most popular Republican president ever. So he represents like 80 to 90 million Americans, and you're just gonna like demonize like a third of this country. Like, I don't know what you think's gonna happen when you do that. Like almost 100 million people, and you're just straight up calling them terrorists, racist, the worst human beings ever. Completely make fun of their life, like constantly. Like I don't know what I don't know. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna call Donald Trump a dictator? Like, wait until a real one shows up and he starts running on like throwing journalists in jail. Like what? Like, even I will be kind of sympathetic to that idea.
Look at what you've done. Who made you this way? You did.
You did. Exactly.
Yes, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
It's gonna be an interesting 10 years, folks.
Yeah, that pendulum. Those pendulum swings are gonna be a real hoot to experience.
That's what
Exactly.
me and Lee keep talking about. It's like it's getting to a boiling point, dude. Like the left is just going off the rails, like beyond reality. Like if things do come back, I don't see it going very well for the left, like at all. Like I don't.
It's gonna be worse than the 90s. It's gonna be worse
Yeah.
than
They're
the
gonna-
like gay hate used to be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be worse.
They're gonna, and in a lot of ways, you can kind of understand why they're gonna come back with heavy vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it feels like you're going after their kids, which they said you were gonna do, even though you may not all be like you're not all the same thing. But like, yeah, it's just like you can't separate that for people.
Well, I think that was like honestly what sparked a lot of the I guess this red wave or Republicans kind of thing is when the COVID exposed like what was going on in those public schools. I think
Yes. Yeah.
that is what made parents go like, wait a minute, I don't really like what's going on here. And then they try to stop it and they get called terrorists. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
It
I
made
don't
me
know.
change my opinion on vouchers because I used to be like, that's not fair. Because as a property owning non-child having, I don't get that money back. But now I'm like, fucking get your kids out of there, take that
Yeah.
money, drain it,
Yeah.
like get it as however you fucking can. Like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one.
Arizona just passed the voucher thing.
I
Oh,
think
they did. Arizona's
Yeah.
been doing good. Do you know
I-
Lauren Liberty out there? Do you follow Lauren Liberty? on
Yeah,
Twitter?
we know of her.
Yeah. So and she showed up to some of the gun law stuff because it's that's just what the left have is they have people on demand to go, literally moms on demand when it's gun stuff. But like
yeah.
they have so many people ready to go out to show up to meetings to do this that we all don't, or it's harder for us, right? And she showed up, and because Arizona had passed something where felons can get their guns back a little bit easier not too long
Mhm.
ago. And there's something else, and one of the motherfuckers said, well, because she has an autoimmune disorder, she's like, I can't fight, I need a gun.
Yeah.
Like, I can't fight. And he was like, well, if you're so scared, stay home or something like that.
Yeah.
But
And
whatever.
it's
they
like, well,
passed
you
it.
stay home for COVID.
You deserve to be hit in the mouth for that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she's awesome. She just announced she's pregnant too. She's having a baby.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats to Lauren Liberty.
Congrats, Lauren. I'm glad everybody else is doing it, so I never felt pressured. The last 2 years, I was like, maybe I should just because, but we're good.
We need more libertarians. We got to start
I'm
populating.
like, I'm at the end.
You got to be like Josh Smith and raise it.
I know.
Yeah, I know. A fucking army.
Basically, yeah, he's raising an army from the ground.
And then
like-
they call him a deadbeat dad. I'm like, what?
yeah.
How? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? They're literally in his house. Like, it's
Yeah.
so ridiculous.
Well, in like 10 years, it'll be like the Smith family will be like seizing the Capitol soon. Like,
They're gonna
Yeah, instead of being like a family band, they're gonna be like family radicals. I'm like, yeah.
It's gonna be hilarious.
they could start their
can't
own
wait.
militia. Like, no shit.
Oh, love it.
They can have their own football team.
They just take over the entire Iowa state legislature.
Yeah. he just gets voted to like governor, and he just like places his children in fucking
Yeah.
different seats.
Every
All the
across
different
Idaho.
departments.
Yeah. They're just like,
Which I
"We're
used to
here now."
hate before, but now I'm like, I understand why people do that shit. Like, I
Yeah.
get it, right?
Well,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't
we're-
like
this isn't.
Yellowstone.
This isn't your grandma's Idaho. Like,
They basically turn it into like a fucking monarchy. Like,
yeah. It's the kingdom of the Smiths. Like,
in Des Moines, in good old Des Moines, Iowa. Was sitting
yeah,
there.
they got their
I've
fucking
never been to
castle.
Iowa.
I
I've
haven't
driven
either.
through it. I drive through it all the time. Go to Wisconsin. Love it.
It's a drive-through state.
Yeah. And they were like, and it's slower. The highway there is 65, wherever else it's 75. So it's like,
God,
okay,
that's-
That's how
losers.
Illinois is. It
Ca-
drops
oh,
it to
it's-
65, even though all the
Yeah,
states
well,
around it
Iowa.
are 70.
We'll put a word into the Smiths. We can get that changed.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
gonna be It's gonna be 85 on I-80 in Iowa now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, is that? Do you guys want to cut it? It's almost 2 hours. This is a great
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that was a good
Luke.
time.
Okay, Luke, that's not exactly
know.
for you. Okay, no, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm
That was a
retarded.
great time. Do
You're
you
in
guys
good
want to?
company, don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is it. Always we've gone off the rails many times on this show. Like, what did
Love
I
it.
have? I had an 11-hour one time. I'm pretty
Oh my
sure.
God.
Hey, I think you and I
shit.
did like 10.
And we've done 9 or 10. Yeah, a couple. We did some long ones a couple times.
That's intense. That's a long.
I'm trying to
Like
cut
our
back
longest
on
episode
drugs,
was
so I don't
4
do that.
hours.
4 hours, yeah.
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 Good.
Our longest
All
one
right.
was 4 hours, and somebody got swatted because of it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
you guys? Like one of you?
No.
No, the guy that was on our podcast
Ah.
during the
Bummer.
4-hour one.
Did
Oh,
he
bummer.
deserve it or no?
No,
not
no,
Okay.
it was because he went on our podcast. He got swatted.
Yeah.
Like no
Well,
joke.
It's kind of like the topic played a big hand. Okay, so when like we
Oh, was
first
that
started
the
the
one?
podcast,
Was
we
that the
were-
one where y'all talking about like the boog or something?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah, I did listen to that, and I
yeah.
remember.
So we, without thinking, episode 10 of our podcast, because we're just like, no one will ever listen to us anyways. Well, we were wrong. Well, we did a 4-hour episode about like strategically, not like tactical level, because everyone, when they talk about the Boogaloo, they always want to talk about tactical level, where you're just like, shooting guns with like federal agents because they're become tyrannical and they're enforcing their will on you or whatever. That's what everyone thinks when you say like Boogaloo. But like we were thinking like bigger picture of like, okay, like so the American revolutionaries had to have something to replace, like something set up to replace what they got rid of. And we were kind of talking like how that would play out. And it wasn't even really like a plan. It was just more like theoretical, like how this would play out. And unfortunately, we had an active duty military officer on our podcast to help us talk about that. And well, let's just say the NCIS did not like that very much.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good time. Felt bad. Felt bad
Yeah.
afterwards.
Felt really bad. And I mean, everything's fine
You
now.
helped expose another stupidity of shit. No one died,
yeah.
right? No one died.
Yeah.
No
Thank
one
God.
died. No,
Good.
no, nothing like that. And actually, everything played out fine. This was a couple years ago that this happened, so
Yeah.
everything worked out in the end, and the person's fine now, and he's a-okay. But it was pretty crazy at the time, and it made us realize like, oh my God, maybe we should not be having active duty guys on.
Oh, someone asked if is that episode still up on your guys'
Yep.
channel?
Yeah, it's still up. I think it's episode
Colonel.
43.
Okay.
I think it's episode 43.
Round
but
43,
if-
Colonel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I'll,
Boogaloo Extravaganza is what it's
yeah,
called.
if you just type that in on Spotify or anything, it pops up first. So
Good Lord. All right.
yeah.
Both of y'all plug all your stuff.
yeah, you can find us. We have a website, it's bitingthebulletpod.com. You can find our page on Twitter. It's Biting the Bullet Podcast, I think. And then Instagram is Biting the Bullet Podcast. And then my stuff is at Keep It Real Luke on Twitter. And I think it's Keep It Real Luke on Instagram as well. So mine's pretty easy to find. And then Typo, go ahead.
Yeah, at The Real Typo on Twitter, and that's mainly where I post. And then I post almost daily at my Instagram, and that's Axe Throwing Typo. Unfortunately, at The Real Typo was taken on Instagram. Those bastards.
I used to have like a Twitter. You would always like tweet the same kind of a tweet, but it was different. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I was like guys, and then I would say like,
I don't think
this.
it's yeah. or
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I love those.
I know everyone did, and I just kind of did it out of stupidity and like dumb things
That's
I thought
fair.
about.
Well,
And
then,
yeah.
I'm stupid.
Well,
That's the whole thing.
I gained like 300 followers from doing that, but I just didn't want to get trapped in being like that guy,
Right.
Well, I'm glad we got to see it. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hex, you want to throw anything out there? Say no.
Everywhere is Hexcelerate. You all know the drill at this point.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace out.